Welcome once again. You found yourself listening to Relationships at Work, a leadership podcast helping you build workplace connection, improve culture, and avoid blind spots. I am always your host, Russel Lolacher. I'm a communications leadership expert, a couple of decades of experience in both those areas, and a whole heap of curiosity, just like yourself, on how we can make the workplace a better place. It's mini episode time. That means these quick, valuable bits of information to hopefully shift your mindset for the week ahead. These are usually under about 10 minutes, all inspired by our Raw Note newsletter, which comes out for free every week. You can sign up on LinkedIn. Relationships at Work has their own company page. Or, of course, you can go to russellolacher.com or relationshipsatworkshow.com and sign up for free for your email right there. I know people have their preferences one way or the other. I don't judge, so I deliver them in both ways for you to pick up however you like. There you go. Our topic today, it's about fixing the blame game. It's really about me asking leaders, us as leaders, to stop with the leadership blame game. Because let's be honest, it's easy to blame a leader. And we as leaders have leaders. We also blame those leaders. They're front and center. They're right there. They are the face of decisions or lack of decisions. We can draw a very easy line from our frustrations. See, I'm even getting frustrated saying frustrations to them. In some particular way. So when we're confused, overwhelmed, disengaged, or just flat out frustrated at work, our instinct is generally to point at them, the people that oversee us. They don't know what they're doing. They never give us any direction. They expect us to read their minds. They're the problem. And sometimes it's true. It is true. There are poor leaders out there. There are toxic ones as well. But more often than not, it's actually something else. And it's the thing we as leaders don't talk about enough. I know I don't talk about it enough. I've fallen into the trap of the blame game many, many, many times myself. I know many people I've seen, colleagues, people, friends, they do the same thing. We do. It's easy. I get it. But the thing we don't talk about enough is a lot of leaders, a lot of them, either yourself sometimes too, or people you know, were never actually given the tools, clarity, or support to lead well in the first place. They just find themselves in these positions and get overwhelmed. So let's think about that for a second. Leaders never actually get the tools, clarity, or support to lead well in the first place. For instance, this happens a lot. I talk about it a lot on the show. I call it the Michael Scott problem. We promote high performers into leadership roles with little to no training. They were good at this job, so they must automatically be in this role, right? No. We assume title equals capability. We reward task execution, delivery, and then expect people management out of that. Not the same thing. We tell people to lead, but rarely tell them what that actually means inside any particular organization, because every organization also might have a different definition of what leadership even is. So while we're blaming them for not setting expectations, maybe no one ever set expectations for them. While we're blaming them for not giving us direction, maybe no one ever gave them a map either. It's not about excusing bad leadership. I want to be super clear about this, because you and I are fighting to prevent bad leadership. It's about understanding where it starts and what perpetuates it. Because as I've mentioned on the show before, we have a broken leadership ecosystem, and it's the leaders who are suffering from it. And if we want better leaders for ourselves, our teams, and our organizations, we need to stop assuming the role itself is self-explanatory. So the question I'm proposing this week on this mini episode, what can we do as leaders to stop blaming individual leaders and start building systems that help them? The first thing I think would help is clarifying what leadership actually means in your organization. That's right. What a surprise. Russell's going back to definitions. You know I love them. I adore them. And we can't improve if we don't define things. Leadership, quote unquote, leadership isn't universal. It's contextual. It has to be tied to your organization's values, culture, and expectations. Don't just hand someone a job description that lists manage projects and people, but rather spell out what good leadership looks like right there in the job description. Answer this. How do leaders communicate here? How do they build trust? What does setting direction actually mean? How are team dynamics and relationships supported? It's that people stuff, right? It's the relationship stuff. If we want consistency and accountability, we need shared definitions. We need to all understand that we're singing from the same song sheet here. Otherwise, you're just handing out compasses with no North Star. So the second thing is stop promoting and hoping. Start preparing and supporting. Promoting someone into leadership without preparation is like giving someone the keys to a plane and expecting them to fly because they were a good passenger. Leadership is a completely different skill set. Not everyone who's good at their job is good at leading people doing that job. We need to, here's a couple things, identify potential leaders early and then start training them before they're promoted. At every level in the organization, not just at the executive level. I think that is a missed opportunity if we wait that long before we go, oh, we should start training people to be leaders. That boat is mostly sailed. Offer mentorship, shadowing, and coaching, not just performance evaluations, and normalize the discomfort of transition and provide a soft landing with real support on the other side of that. Because when a high performer goes into a leadership role, it's very different. And that transition can be very hard because what they knew to be success on that role is very different in their success in the new role. If we're relying on instincts or personality alone for our leaders to be successful, we're setting them up to fail. And last, let's build feedback loops, not silos. One of the most damaging myths in organizations is that leadership feedback should only go one way, top down. Hate that. I hate it so very, very much. Because those people higher in the hierarchy don't make them better leaders. We've already established that, right? Just because you're good at a job doesn't make you a great leader. And as I've also talked on the show quite a bit, leaders and managers aren't the same thing. So top down, it's very limiting for benefits for those new leaders. What if their leaders are also not properly, because again, what if those leaders aren't properly trained themselves? What do they do in giving advice? If we want our leaders to grow, they need consistent, safe, and structured feedback from their peers, direct reports, and mentors. Not just their boss once a year, or longer in some cases. That feedback that I'm talking about, it shouldn't be weaponized either or stored up for some performance review. It should be built right into the culture. Skip level check-ins. I don't know why organizations don't do this enough. Regular 360 feedback. That pulls feedback from every level in the organization, not just the top-down structure. Real-time feedback on communication and behavior. Like, you showed up in the meeting this way. Maybe you want to tweak that. Maybe you want to tweak this. You know what? I really liked what you did there. Right there and then. Right there. Team reflections are great too. Or retrospectives, where there's that honest, collaborative conversation that happens that can actually help the team both as individuals and as a cohesive unit. And all these things that I've mentioned need to be done with some kind of honesty in a psychologically safe environment. Our leaders need mirrors, not blindfolds. And consistent feedback can help them become more aware and adapt into how to improve. So again, let's be clear. If a leader is failing, the organization has already failed somewhere along the way. We can't just blame the person for not being a great leader when they've been set up to fail throughout their career. Leadership is a role, not a personality. And roles require clarity, they require support, and they require accountability. That's how you build cultures that thrive, by fixing the systems, the ecosystems, not just finding someone to blame. And we as leaders have to acknowledge that with a bit of compassion and a bit of grace. Because if our only solution to bad leadership is hope the next one's better, you haven't and never will fix anything. You're just passing the buck. You're putting your head in the sand. You're not affecting change. You're not leading. We, as leaders, we do need leaders. But it only works if we work on the ecosystem itself and not blame the results of it. As leaders, we need to lead, and that might include leading our leaders, leading our ecosystems, leading our colleagues, leading. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, talking about the blame game and how we maybe need to look at the bigger picture instead of just what's right in front of us. So thank you so much for once again joining me for one of these mini solo episodes. It is Relationships at Work you're listening to, a leadership podcast, helping you build workplace connection, improve culture, and avoid those blind spots. I'm your host, Russel Lolacher. Again, I thank you so much for joining me, and we get to do this again next week, same time. But also, you should check out Mondays. Mondays, I have some amazing guests from all over the world. They come and join us and teach us about so many different aspects of what leadership is and isn't, and how we can affect change and improve and transform. I learned so much. I mean, that's one of the big reasons I started this podcast, was just to increase my own learning. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate it that you've joined me on this learning journey for your own leadership. Yeah, we're in this together, right? Okay, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to talk to you again soon. Take care.